Here we go. Welcome y'all to Hardcore Enduro, where it's all about getting out and riding the hard stuff. I'm George, the guy behind the bars and the voice behind the mic. And look at that amazing pivot turn right there. This was the start of Saturday's race. This is the unofficial prologue to get you into the main event for tomorrow. Today's race was set up by class, and then tomorrow's race will be set up by your finishing time from today's race. And you had to make it to the first checkpoint today to get into tomorrow's race, which I had my doubts. I've never run King of the Motos before, and I didn't know how well I was gonna do, but I actually did pretty good today. I ended up doing a whole lap, which was 5 checkpoints. So, and I'm not gonna lie, I struggled quite a bit. It was hard. I had my face down, just breathing super heavy. But I feel like I could have went a little bit farther. I kind of held back. I did a lot of resting, helping other people get through the course, so that all takes a little bit of time, plus battery changes to get the coverage here. So I feel like I could have maybe done maybe 6 checkpoints if everything went well. But it was a struggle going up this hill. And hard enduros, I'm telling you folks, if you guys haven't done a hard enduro, they live up to the hype. They are as hard as it looks. And some people, this isn't for them. I understand that. You got a lot of fast movers that just like going fast, and that is awesome. But I think it was Danny Lewis who had a good quote, and I'll just say what he said, that the hard enduro is more than a race. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to each rider to get through it. On other races, if you're having an off day, you could just take your time and cruise and go slow, and you'd be able to get through the course. Whereas hard enduro doesn't allow that. It doesn't allow you to just cruise through. It makes you work. It is hard. There are sections where you're either getting through or you're not. There's no easy way to get through it. And that's what I like. It's just such a challenge. It's a mental challenge as it is a physical challenge. And when you get through an obstacle like this first hill, you get through, you just feel this such sense of accomplishment. There, giving a wave to the wife. She waved back. She said I was the only guy that stopped and waved. So I got some brownie points right there. She felt real special. No one else is waving to their wives down there. What's going on, y'all? You need to give some love and respect to the people doing all the work while you're out here playing on the side of a mountain. So I'm pretty gassed. All things being said, I saved a lot of energy because I did not loop the bike out, and other than a couple just minor layovers, I didn't have any bad falls and having to push super hard, even though I sound like I've run a whole race already. I'm so out of breath, but I just need to get in some sort of rhythm right now, get my breath back, get that heart rate down, and pick my way through these rocks. Now this is what you'd see, this terrain here is a lot what it'd be like on a loop 2 of a hare and hound, through some of the rocky sections there up in Spangler, even though at Lucerne Valley. But you just got to keep your momentum. Momentum is key in all things, especially hill climbs, racing. Momentum is your friend at all times. Stopping your momentum just makes you work really hard. Here's a tight little left pivot here. Now another thing too in the beginning of a race, just for me, I'm an amateur guy, so I'm thinking about this, is I gotta have my bike operating, and picking away through these little narrow gaps in the rocks. I don't want to clip a brake lever or a shift lever this early on in the race. So I'm just being a little bit extra careful that I'm not going to be doing that. If you bend your brake lever right here, you're going to need it later, or your shift lever. Now I do have a new shift lever on, and I really like that. It's steel, and I can bend it back. I hit it several times today, and it bent in. I'd pull over and just bend it back out. And if you got an aluminum one, you do that a couple times, and then it breaks. So I like the steel one, that it just lasts a little bit longer. And same with my rear brake one. I end up hitting that towards the end of the ride here. I bend that one in, and it's an older one that I have had on. It's aluminum. I brought it back up, so I'll put it back up on for tomorrow. I always ride in my pack. I always got an extra shift lever and a brake lever. Ooh, that guy just tipped over there, lost his balance a little bit. Pretty steep little downhill, a little soft, you know, if you're heavy on the front brake, or just lose your balance, real easy to tip the bike over there. But I always carried extra brake lever and shift lever just in case that happened. There's a guy behind me. Keep going, keep going. I'm looking down. There's a guy going left. And I had to look down to see if I was supposed to go left there, and I wasn't. So I'm looking at my GPS because that guy was back there. Now, for y'all that don't know, King of the Motos is not a well-marked course, and they do that on purpose because they want you to use your GPS. If you look at my handlebars right there on the left, that's a little GPS unit. That's a Garmin E-Trex V22, and it actually was a pretty good model. I was happy with it. There's a little off-road tight trail through there. You don't want to lose your balance here. Just picking my way through. I know I ain't as fast as all the A and pros. I'm an amateur rider, folks, so just bear with me in this technical stuff. My goal is not to make a mistake. Mistakes can just be so costly, and you'll think, well, you know, you're going too slow. Well, a mistake can really make you lose a lot of time and use a lot of energy if you fall over, dump the bike, or even break something. You know, you can be out of the race. There was a lot of people that got DNFs. You know, each one probably had their own scenario of why they got it, but you know, even there's a couple pro riders that got DNFs. So you got to be careful and ride a smart race. You know, hard enduro is like a chess race. It's not just max speed. It's a lot of a mind game, and being smart about picking your battles, picking your lines, and knowing when to get after it and when to hold back, and just be safe about where you're going. The tires today, I was really happy with the grip I was getting. My rear tire was it's the VE33S from IRC. It's kind of a tall knob gummy tire, which I knew come down here. This valley is a lot of sand and loose rocks. So I wanted the gummy for the loose rocks. It does have a couple of creek sections with some slabs of big boulders. So I knew the gummy tire would be good in that. And then this sand stuff here, the tall knobs would be really good and get a lot of grab and pull for any of the climbs. So I was really happy with the tire selection. I got my Moose that's really broken in, and I was talking to a guy at the start, and we're comparing Mooses and time on it. You know, when I first put the Moose on back in Donner, I put a fresh Moose, drilled it out, but it was fresh. And you actually need to put some time on that Moose, kind of break it in to really gets really soft, and it creates a lot of better traction for your tire. So I got about 20 hours on this Moose. He had 17 hours on his, and they were almost the same. His was a little bit softer, and so I think he had a different brand. Here's a good hill climb here, folks. This is where that big knob tire, just getting after it, really helped out. A little bit bottleneck at the top here. And here's a lesson of the day. If you ever have a big climb where people are stopped halfway and you see a different line, just turn around, go back down, and hit it again. You will save energy and time. And sometimes saving the energy can be more important than saving time at the moment, because those guys were pushing and pushing, really wasting a lot of energy. Here's Zach.
Tie it off. Tie it off.
He made it to the top. I thought he was over the top. And he dumped his bike, broke his handguard or something, and then his water nozzle came off his water pack, so there's leaking water everywhere. So I went back down, hitting it a second time, doing this outside line here, and I'm gonna make it up, because those guys are just pushing, really using a lot of energy that they're gonna need later in the race. So saving that energy early on really is gonna help out, because the race, I mean, you're gonna be so dead. I say that about every race. You're so dead at the end. But there's nothing like a hard enduro. Your whole body is exhausted. You have to use everything to get through a hard enduro. So saving that energy early. I went back down, made a second run, boom.
Energy.
Yeah, I did. Good job. Well done, Georgie. So that was one thing I did good. Look at this pass right here on the outside. That was a tight squeeze. Oh my God. Made me lose a little bit of my momentum there, and so there's a big drop off to the right there. With it, you're kind of in this sand pit, and just had to bump it over, drop the bike down, and now I'm off and going again. This sand, a lot of this sand is just like pure sand dune. You just had to keep your momentum going. If you lost it, you just bogged down. You ain't getting anywhere. But I love that pass. You know, I love that about hard enduro. It is like a brawl of just who can get their bike up an obstacle. You're using any method. You know, you're running over people's tires, bikes, their feet. You're pushing off. And all with a bit of respect, though. You definitely, if the big dogs are coming by, they're lapping us, or even the A riders, you know, you're trying to get out of their way, being respectful, because they're, you know, they got money on the line and they're really getting after it. But it's just a lot of fun. The camaraderie, I think, between hard enduro is higher than other races. I mean, I love the guys in the Hare and Hounds, and I love the other riders at the sprint enduros I've done, but the hard enduro guys, it's like a brotherhood. It's such a struggle, and it's so fun to see who can get over an obstacle and who can't, and what methods, what lines are going to take, and some people are just having the bigger balls to hit a line that you were too chicken to try. It's just a lot of fun.
That was almost a disaster. Woo!
Coming up here, this front end's gonna slide out on me. I don't know what it is. The front tire slid, darted into that rock. Those little mistakes get so costly. Start adding up, because you dump the bike here, dump the bike there, dump it over there, and you get so exhausted having to pick your bike up. So being able to keep your balance, I talked about that I think the last video. Balance is so important. Keeping the bike upright, letting the bike do the work. Because every time the bike's dumping over, you're doing a lot more extra work than you need to be doing. Oh, I forgot to mention the ladies. A lot of ladies riding today. It's so amazing. And youth people riding. There's a couple of youth guys that just super impressed me. I'll point them out coming up here. But a couple of young riders, 13 years old out here riding, and just killing it, and really impressed. Here's a little climb right here. There's a little bit of a struggle bus going on. If you gotta one-shot this. It's really soft, rocky terrain. That guy gets around me right there. But he's gonna get up, and you got a one-shot. If you don't make it, you really should come back down and make it a second run. You can see how soft it is. He gets up there. Now the line to the left is a little steeper and harder. So I'm gonna go where he went. I was hoping he'd get out of the way right there, but he doesn't. Stays in the way, so then I have to brake right, and that throws my momentum off. And I'm off the main line, so I am getting a little bit better traction right now. If I was on the main line, it'd be soft and powdery, but because I'm off the line now, you can see it is rocky right here, so I was getting a little bit of traction. So I'm gonna push, which I don't like to do, but you know, you watch the pros, they do push quite a bit. This is hard enduro. You gotta get your bike up, and you gotta keep that momentum. And to push your bike is expected. You're gonna have to do it during the race. It's just you gotta limit it, and the effort of pushing, you gotta pick your battle. You know, if you're gonna be pushing so damn hard, maybe turn around, make a second go to limit that push, because pushing your bike uphill is one of the most taxing things on your body. It's so exhausting. That being said, I'm gonna do a lot of that, and I am gonna gas myself. There's a point coming out here. I picked a good line, but I executed poorly, and I had to push my bike through the sand. It was like on a sand dune, and it just gassed me out. And that was a bad move on my part. I should have went down, tried again, but I'll point that out when it's coming up here. Through the sections, you'd get up, you'd have a hard, rocky section to come back in this little flat area, and you'd get a little bit of a breather. So it's nice having that little bit of a breather, kind of like a transfer section. So we got a little climb coming up here, and this is another point where I should have been patient. I wasn't patient. There's a bottleneck coming up here, and I'm gonna pick a new line. I think, I'm just gonna get around these guys, pick a new line, but it's not gonna work out in my favor. I'm gonna pay for it. And instead of giving up, my pride got to me, and I just kept after it. And it was such a waste of time. It was so bad. It's a good lesson learned coming up. So it's right up here. So we get up here, and there's this big rock, and you can't really see around it, but it's stopped, and there's a little climb there that people are just struggling on. And that's Bruce right ahead of me. I think the next day, tomorrow's race, we ended up running next to each other. He was ahead of me on checkpoints, but we were right there riding most of the race together. See, there's an uphill, and you had to carry your momentum and kind of zap it up that little climb right there. And instead of being patient and waiting for my turn to go, I'm like, I'm gonna turn right here and go around this big rock. And it's an uphill climb, and it is not going well right from the beginning. I get high centered here. I'm pushing my bike. I pivot to the right more. I'm like, all right, I gotta do just a little bit of a switchback, pivot up, and it's loose. This rock is just giving way underneath. And instead of, like, I don't know, I should have just got back in line at this point. And I look to the right, and there's Tristan Hart already lapping us. The leaders have already done the whole freaking first lap, and they're all the way, even the second lap, and they are lapping me. You can hear Tristan revving out. Oh, did you see that? He looked at my line. He thought about it for a second.
Where do you want? That way?
No, he's going straight. He's telling everyone to move too. He's not even out of breath. He's like, move, 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 get out of the way. Just these guys are so good, not out of breath. I should have just stayed there. But anyways, I'm gonna keep pushing here, and I get off the bike. I'm gonna push, and it was so dumb. I don't know why I did this. I'm looking back, it's painful to watch. I'm gonna push, 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 and like push, and then I'm gonna dump the bike. And I do this like 5 or 6 times. Push, 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 dump the bike. Then I push, 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 dump the bike. It was so taxing, such a waste of energy here. It's such a dumb move. Don't do this, y'all. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles. This was a battle I shouldn't have picked, and it beat me up. I was so exhausted. I finally made it up. I was just so exhausted. I lost, I got past a lot. If I would have just stayed in line, I would have been ahead. Look at this little Kawasaki here on the left. That is Carly. She's in the women's group, and she's only 13. 13 years old. I think she's riding a little 85, and just so impressed. She is out here doing stuff at 13 that when I was 13, I never even dreamed about. Like, it's just so impressive the youth coming up. Her, and there's another guy, Cole Clarkson. He's another 13-year-old. Just impressed. I'm like, these are the future pro guys. I love watching. It's so amazing to watch the pros go through. They are next level. The things that they're able to do on their bike is just phenomenal. But the youngsters out here, these are the next generation pros. A couple of years, they're gonna be running circles around everyone. So just awesome to see each level rider out here. All right, catching my breath. We got this little downhill. There's a big sand dune on that far side, and up to the top of the sand dune, I can see several riders struggling. So I'm already starting to think, all right, how am I gonna get over this sand dune? Now look at this line. Another thing pointing out here. Look at this line. There goes Colton Haker. He just passes this all, picks a different line. As an amateur, we can't think outside the box sometimes. Look at Colton just straight down, straight up that sand dune. So impressive. But as an amateur, it's hard to think outside the box of the race course, outside the line. Whereas the pros, they just pick their own lines. They use the course as kind of a guide, but they're not sticking right to the course like the amateurs do. We like hugging that course like it's was our lifeline, whereas they're just using it as a loose guide, and they're going, you know, picking new lines and picking the most efficient routes. Good job, Trixie. Look at that, folks, up that big old sand dune. Ah, felt good. I did not want to get stuck on that sand dune like the other guy did. All right, so here's our first checkpoint coming in, and this means I've qualified for tomorrow's main event, which is pretty cool. I was really excited to be making the main event because I thought I was doing good on this event, but the main event is definitely stepping it up to the next level. It's much harder tomorrow than it was today. But here's my thoughts on the race format of King of the Motos. I think they're missing an opportunity here, and if they do this, I think it would be next level of what this race is capable of, and it is to set it up like Romaniacs. And instead of having this basically a prologue day and then a main event day, they need to add a third day, which make it a Friday, and have it Romaniacs where each day that time counts to your total time at the end of the race. And I think that'd be awesome. Now the first day you set up in your stages, your classes, but then each day you're starting according to how you finish, you know, your time the previous day. But your total time still counts toward your overall score, and that's at the end of the third day. You know, whoever's got the fastest time, you know, you're still winning your places by then. I think that'd be the way to go. You know, King of the Motos, King of the Hammers, it's like almost a 3-long-week event out here. And there's Carly down there. I tried to do this high line through the sand, got held up, and I'm like, all right, I gotta drop back down. There's all those tumbleweeds down there hiding whatever rocks, so I was trying to avoid it, but I see these guys going through the tumbleweeds and they don't have any problem, and these freaking tumbleweeds, they're like the dust bunnies in Toy Story. You know, it's like sticking to you. Oh, you got your first dust bunny. These tumbleweeds just are like stuck to your bike. They're up in your sprockets, your chains, your brakes. Your bike, look at that guy, just mowing down all those tumbleweeds. It's hilarious. You know, that guy's got to pull out all these tumbleweeds. I had a bunch in my bike as well. There's a little hill climb coming up here. This is Carly going up. She's going to make a pretty good stab at it. Doesn't get all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Just so impressive, you know. She's only about 5 feet tall, 13, and just so impressive what she's able to do. Here's my first run at it. I'm like, all right, let's show everyone how it's done. That is how it's not done.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I was showing everyone how not to do that. It's because I still had that tumbleweed in my back tire there. That's why I got held up. That was embarrassing. I should have cut that out of the video, but I just want to show you. Sometimes you just make a bad attempt, but I can get this. So it's attempt number 2, and I'm like, this is not that hard. I can get this. Much better, y'all. Look at that. Hit it up. Could have been on the throttle a little bit more in the beginning to carry my momentum up, but I was able to get up, not too hard. But back to the race format, you know, if they did Romaniac style 3-day race, 3 hours probably Friday, and then 6 hours Saturday, and you could even stagger a little bit more than that, like 3 hours Friday, 5 hours on Saturday, and then 6 hours main event. As far as cutoff times, I think that would be an epic race venue or, you know, event out here. So if you guys have any thoughts on that, you know, they changed it up this year from last year, so I don't think they've settled for a format that they are liking. I know the difficulty they did like, so they made it, especially the main event, it was much harder than it was last year. I mean, the pros still flew through it, but last year the comments from the pros is it still wasn't hard enough, so they really made it harder this year, which I like. I love making it as difficult as possible. I want the obstacles to be so hard where it takes people out. I'm not saying it hurts people, I'm just saying that they're not able to get through it. All right, here I picked the good line. There's a ball neck to the right. This is the right line to hit, and I can do this, but I had a poor execution of it. And this is a lot of an amateur. You know, if I had 2 runs at this, I'd hit it right the second time. Just hit it a little bit too slow coming in, Should have carried some more momentum and been able to pop that tire and give it a little bit more juice, and then not die the bike. So I need to cover that clutch, so I'm not flaming out here. And right here, I could have turned around and went back down and gave it a second shot, which I should have done. You know, you think about on the big hill climbs, giving it a second go, but even these small little climbs, you can just turn around and give it a second shot. I would have saved so much energy. Well, I don't, and I end up pushing. And once you get on the push train, you're done. It is so exhausting having to push your bike through sandy terrain through here. So there's a pro coming up behind me. That's Hayden, I think, Mosa. And that's how you do it. Keep that momentum, keep a foot on the peg, and just keep that bike rolling. There's another pro going there. He gets off, drops down, has to push a little bit, but even then, he's still keeping that bike moving forward, which I am not doing. The back end's digging in, the front end's sliding out. There's a rock underneath in the sand. My right foot's on the rock, and it's causing my front tire to slide over. So I'm just losing all these positions. I made up good time, and now I'm getting held up, and I'm just having to breathe. Switch sides. I gotta switch sides breathing. Oh my God, it's so much. That's half my race. Is just my head down over the hand. You know, my hands over the handlebars, my head down, just breathing. I think that was half my race. I made a shirt. You guys almost have the website done, and a couple of different shirt designs that just crack me up of how an amateur rider looks when he does hard enduro. You know, it's not the guy jumping doing a whip. It's not the 12 o'clock wheelie. You know, it's laying the bike over and being totally dead exhausted. That is the amateur hard enduro experience. But that website's almost out. I got some merch out, ready to go. I think I've tried it. I want some quality stuff, so I've ordered a bunch of the shirts and hoodies and hats, and just to make sure that they're something that I would like to wear, not just junk. And so far, I've been happy. A couple things I wasn't happy about, but it's looking pretty good. I like all that stuff. I used to own a winery that I started myself. I went to chemistry and learned how to make wine and started my own little winery. And I like designing labels and logos and that kind of stuff. I just enjoy it. I like doing the graphics and the artwork of it. It's fun. That's why I like my own jersey. And it's kind of dumb, but it's just fun having something unique. Alright, guys, like taking a rest. I'm like, I need a rest. There you go. Arms up on the bar, just breathing. Breathe. Alright, y'all, we're coming up to another major hill climb coming up here. That was a little tricky getting up. Now, it wasn't the hardest climb, it was a technical climb. You had to stay on the line and keep traction, keep your balance, and you made it up through no problem. But there was some people just struggling quite a bit. The guy on the left right there, he's gonna struggle.
The jumper? No. Dead battery already, huh?
That guy had a dead battery. That's so soon in the race. Doesn't have a kickstart. That's the advantage of the Yamaha here, the old WR. I got the old kickstart. So if the battery dies, she's not leaving me stranded. I think they need to add that on. I knew electric starts are so good and reliable, and two-strokes really, turn over so easy. But they still, I remember Silver Kings, a lot of people had dead batteries, and they're just stranded on the side of the mountain. So having that kickstart, adds on a little bit extra weight. But honestly, for trail riding and not being left stranded, I think is a huge thing to keep on your bike. So here's this big hill climb, which is hanging up a lot of people. I had a straight shoot up the gut right there, but you can take that. This guy behind me, he has a little Bluetooth speaker strapped to his number plate, just blasting his Mexican music there. No offense if it's not Mexican music, but Keeping people in the zone, I guess. He just wants to keep motivated. He was having a good time. He was taking pictures, having a good time riding. So instead of doing that straight shot up the gut, I'm gonna do the zigzag switchbacks. Just trying to be smart, conserve my energy here, keeping the bike level. Here I'm gonna go up, I gotta make a shoot this. I'm always aiming with the rear tire, learned that from Rich Larson. Aim with the rear, so you gotta get the bike high enough that all you gotta do once you get up, you just pivot the front end around. This is Dennis, he's an A rider. He's gonna try to shoot that straight shot up. He is a pretty good rider. I saw him the next day in the mini event. He was doing a couple of the pro lines, I'd say, and it's just kind of impressive to see him, yeah, really riding the hard stuff. So that chute's right in front of me, and you gotta kind of have this climb. So I'm gonna hold back so I can one-shot it to where he is and not have to push. So I wait back, so here we go. Just kind of one-shot it up. So that saves so much energy. You know, sometimes if you're a little bit patient, it's hard and hard to do, because if you hold back, someone will just jump right in front of you, so it's a little bit of a gamble. But once you get up here, you gotta pivot left, and you need to see how steep that is. And right, that guy that's standing the other side of him, there's a big drop off. Now there's a line. I'm gonna try to hit that line and hit it. It looks pretty good. It looks steep, but if your bike gets, oh, he's throwing rocks at me. Watch out for those rocks. God, that's a duck. Now there's an outside line too, right in front of me, right there. And looking back, if I carried momentum, I could have done that. But if you lose and go right, it's really steep, and it drops down for like 20, 30 feet. So I'm gonna do the same pivot, get the bike front end over, and then I'm gonna try my 511 special, and I almost get it. See, I get up, but I don't stay in front of the bike enough, and I lose it, fall back. Yeah, I should have gave it a little bit more, buddy.
Like 2 less strokes.
He says I just have too many strokes. I need 2 less strokes here. No, there was only 4 strokes this whole race. So this guy right there behind, he's gonna take that outside line, which I thought maybe I could have done, but it's a gamble, because the guy behind him, he's gonna get it right. That guy's gonna take that outside line here. I'm gonna pivot left and move over about 5 feet. There you go, I'm pivoting left. Yep. That guy right there with the blue shirt, he's gonna take that outside line, and he's gonna loop his bike out, and it goes tumbling down that hillside. So he just lost his bike. He looped out, and his bike is 30 feet down the mountain there. You can see his bike way down there. I think he broke off his rear fender. He cracked his subframe too. I saw a picture of it. It's pretty tore up, but he still finished the race. So I get up, make that little pivot turn. So not too hard. Yeah. So there was an open. Oh, we're getting rocks in the face. There was an open 4-stroke. Gosh dang, these rocks pelting me. There's an open 4-stroke class, and then there was only 2 riders in the class. So if I would have entered that, I would have been guaranteed a podium spot, because I would have been the 3rd rider. And those 2, they were fast, folks. I think the top 4-stroke guy, I think he came in 29th place. So just because you have a 4-stroke, that doesn't mean you're slow. I mean, 29th place is still really good. Yeah, I'd like to see what the top guys would do on the 4-strokes.
Oh, that must have been torture.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool because I think there was like 5 of us. So you're kind of like a little like...
There's only 4 this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're kind of like everyone's like 4-stroke.
Hey, 4 strokes. Trust me, I want to get a 2-stroke because I like riding hard enduro, and I have ridden a little bit on my buddy's 2-stroke, but since California now has made all off-road bikes non-permitted, and you got to go kind of permit your bike out of state, which I don't know all the legality of it anyways. So there's no point in getting a 4-stroke anymore, because you're going to be riding illegal no matter what you're on. So I might as well just switch over. That's the reason I got Trixie in the first place was that I got a green sticker permit, which allows you to off-road, not during the race, but just trail ride on the weekends on national park ground, BLM ground. It allowed you legally to ride off-road. So that's why I have this bike that I have. But now that that's all out the window, you know, I'm down to go get a two-stroke, and I've been looking at different models and different brands. And I'm just anti-KTM just because everyone has a KTM. And I don't like the color orange. So, hope that doesn't offend y'all, but I just don't think an orange bike is that sexy. I really like Betas. I think Beta is the best looking bike. It just looks so damn good. The Italians, they know how to make something look sexy. So the Beta just looks great. I like Husky. I know it's a KTM brand, but I like Husky. My idol is Graham Jarvis, and he rides Husky, and he has forever. So I just, you know, if I'm gonna get something, Husky is probably on top of my list. I like Shirtco. I tell you why I like the Shirtco, because it's easy to remove the seat. Oh my gosh, dang, Shirtco's like nailed getting the seat off. Like, why doesn't everyone else do what Shirtco's done, getting the seat off? So that's a big plus. And they use the KYB suspension, which is what Yamaha uses too. So that is a big plus for Shirtco. But Shirtco doesn't have the TBI system, so that's another reason for Husky. I do like a low maintenance bike and reliability. I like my 4-stroke that's fuel injected. I don't have to worry about carburetor changes or anything like that. It's really nice just having a simple, reliable bike that takes some of the guesswork out of riding for me. So that is really nice about having Trixie here, and just low maintenance. I know she probably needs some valve shims right now. Just she starts a little slow, but once she's going, she's just so dang reliable. And it's like Cody, if he's got a Shirtco, but he has to get a smart carb to get back to some type of fuel injection. And smart carbs are not cheap. You know, you could have been spending $1,000 to get a carburetor on your bike. So I don't know, but most likely going to be a Husky or Beta if I just want. I just love the colors. I just like the look of the Beta. So coming up, we got a nice little climb through the rocks here, and there's going to be a switchback, and there's going to be a guy in the middle of the course, as if I can keep on the course here. I am getting pretty fatigued at this point. Before I was just gas tired, having to catch my breath, but now my muscles are actually starting to get fatigued, or they're starting to get worn out, getting the noodle arms. But I got this climb right here, and there's a guy stuck almost at the top there, and this little rock, it's not a step up, it's just like a flat rock surface that he's at the base of, and this is where he should have came down and got a second run at it, which really would have helped him out. So I'm going to come up here, and I thought he'd move out of the way. I kind of dumped my bike over. There's a rock. See that big slab rock behind his rear tire? He's like, I'll move this out of the way for you. I'm like, sweet, bro, thanks. But he tries to move it, and he doesn't throw it out of the trench. He's going to throw it back, and it just tumbles right back in and goes right in front of my bike. So it just slides back.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm like, no, I can see he's struggling. He's tired, you know. I'm like, I'll move it out. No worries. Like, God damn it, now I got to move this huge rock. A lot of rock moving today. It was like a construction crew moving rocks. But I get after I carry my momentum. Just keep that momentum. When you're hill climbing, momentum is king. You got to keep that momentum going, and that tire will keep grabbing. So I was pretty pumped. I was like, sweet, because I was thinking I'd have to go back down and give that a second shot. I was looking down for something. I don't know why I was looking down right there. My front tire today, I'm running a Moose for the first time. It's the New Tech Nitro Moose, and it's a plus sheet, 6 to 8 psi. It's not drilled out or anything. And then the tire is the VX40, which is more of a softer tread. It's more for rocks. Did really good. Got a lot of traction today. Of course, in sand stuff, if you get off the line, off your balance, no matter what tire you have, it's going to wash out on you. There's another rock climb here that I was like, all right, got to keep the momentum. Don't lose momentum. Just keep that momentum up. Keep it up. Don't lose it. And then I lose it. I'm like, oh no. So I do these little rock backs here. So if you do lose momentum, but it's ever so slight, I was still getting a little traction. What you don't want to do is dig a hole. You know, my fingers covering the clutch. So even though the bike's revving, that doesn't mean the rear tire is spinning out. So I'll get traction, I'll rock back just a little bit, and then I kind of let the clutch out a little bit. Not all the way out, but just a little bit so it's grabbing, keeping that positive traction and preventing myself from digging a hole with the rear tire. You dig a hole with the rear tire, it sinks down, and then you're stuck. And you see a lot of the new guys do that, where they'll just, you know, kind of whiskey throttle a little bit, and their rear tire just digs a hole just real quick. They sink down. Now that creates that tire up in the air and just a lot higher. So here's a split right here. I just keep on going. I gotta keep talking here. There's a split. So if you were to hit lap 2, you would have gone off right and hit some new course. But I'm on lap 1 and I couldn't see where to go. I'm like, do I just go down and over? And they're like, no, you idiot. You go down in this little crevice right here. This little crack in the rock here, which is pretty cool. It gets really tall and narrow. Got this giant boulder in the way. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm already planning what to do. I'm like, all right, I gotta get that front end. I'm gonna wheelie up, get that front end, place it on the rock ahead of me. Boom. Front tire's up, and I'm getting this tire all the way up, almost 12 o'clock position, getting that rear tire as far forward as I can, and then I drop the front end down, and it gets right over that. There's a little ledge drop off right here. It's pretty steep, about 4-foot drop right there. And the guy in front of me, he walked the bike down, and I'm like, all right, just got to get that front end over, and then I'll just let it roll. Get a little kiss in for Trixie. She likes to kiss the rocks. Roll down, well done. All right, just kind of cool through here. It's real narrow, so your line choice is kind of limited. You gotta have it just kind of go straight. Keep your momentum going. I am dabbing with my feet. It is so narrow through here. You can see it's just almost grazing the handlebars. Phew, close. Another little rock to pop the front end over. Dart into the rock on the right. It's like a pinball machine in here. I'm just getting bounced around left and right. Boom, hitting the rock on the left right now. Now my hand guards, I got those little flex hand guards from the Cherubim. I really like them, folks. See how they flex in and then they just pop right back out. If I would have had my old bark busters there, you'd say, yeah, but they protect your hand more. Well, they keep denting in. And by the end of the race, your hand guards are just, the wraps are all the way in, dented in, and it's affecting your grip, affecting the throttle. I like those the half wraps there that are flexing. They just pop right back out where they're supposed to be. I won't go back to full wraps. I like these little flimsy half wraps. Got a little hill climb. There goes Carly.
Cow print or whatever that is.
Yeah, there's Billy right there. He was in the class with me. He was in the 40 plus Bs, and he placed one position ahead of me. He kept me off the podium on the main event. He got 3rd place in the podium. I got 4th. Nice little climb right here. Just kept on the throttle, which I should have kept on the throttle here. Woo! Give him a fist pump. And I kind of lost my momentum. I was like, oh shoot, maybe I should have kept going. Billy, really nice guy, and the whole race he was like 20 yards ahead of me, and on the bottlenecks area, you know, we could talk to each other. So really awesome. I love meeting people out on the race and the ride. I think we're all a good group of dudes and girls too. There's a lot of girls out here. Just a good brotherhood of riders for a hard
enduro. This looks like the worst one of the day so far.
Yeah, this hill, it looks like the worst one so far. This guy has a gnarly accent. So it's gonna take me a couple tries. I come up here and I take this wide line. I'm like, well, that's not gonna work. It's got this this rock slab. I know there's sand on top kind of covering it, but it's got this rock slab that you gotta carry momentum. And if you don't carry your momentum, you get stuck and you're gonna have to push. I've done enough pushing for the day. I don't want to be pushing right now. There goes Billy. See, he's gonna not carry any momentum. He's gonna get up there, and God, he's a beast because he's just gonna be pushing. There's Dennis. Comes up and lays his bike down right in the way and throws me out. I'm kind of taking a straighter line there. Don't make it. I'm like, all right. So here's attempt number 3. Just carry a lot more speed. Get all the way up in there, and that's how it's done correctly. This is a tricky little series of step-ups right here. There is a pretty big drop down that to the right-hand side, real steep, almost cliffy right there. So I'm off the bike, pushing it, just keeping traction with the clutch there, and I gotta pop the front end up and over, get to the next little ledge. And Pierce right here, he's gonna come down, give me the old tire pull in the front. That was nice of him. This was a section where you kind of had to have a little bit of help.
Yeah, I
don't know if I could have done this on my own. Maybe if I was rested, but you know, you get so gassed. Here comes Billy helping too. See, just a good group of guys.
If you stay off, just in case you go off the bike, just walk it.
Oh, we got this. We'll keep traction on the tire.
Hey, he told me to walk the bike, but I'm like, I know I gotta get traction on that back tire.
I got it.
Hey, Billy's still pulling. All right, I got it. And they're like, all right, he's got it. Get the hell out of here.
If you find me later, I'll get you a beer.
Hell yeah, bro.
Helping me.
I still owe him a beer. I saw him later. Well, I didn't see him later that day. I saw him after at the awards ceremony. Gotta follow through on your promises. Now right here, I don't know why. I needed to keep momentum, and I couldn't start any momentum. My rear tire kept getting shot off to the right. It kept going off the trail, and it was a soft shoulder. So I'd pull the back end over. I'm like, all right, this should be easy. This is not that hard right here, but I'd go a little bit. So I'd push the bike there, and that rear tire would slide down again. And I kept having to pull it back up. And this was costing me a lot of energy right here. You can see it starts getting off the shoulder. Pull it back up again. Give it that old heave-ho. Get going a little bit more. All right, got it this time. Oh, I done hold that shit. I gotta keep that positive pressure. Off again. Gotta pull it back on the line. Like, I watched the other guys go up, and they were not doing this. I don't know why Trixie was doing this. The other guys made it up, so I'm pushing the bike. I'm using so much energy pushing it, and that rear tire just won't stay on the freaking line. God dang it. What are you doing, Trixie? Getting a little frustrated. Don't want to get frustrated while you're riding. Frustration makes you make dumb things, bad decisions. You gotta stay calm and collective. It's a problem, you just gotta figure out the problem, find the solution, get her done. Alright, get past it. Now coming up, there's another little switchback, which I should have got. You gotta get momentum. Like I said, on a hill climb, momentum is king. And I don't carry my momentum. Now you are exhausted. I come up here aiming with the rear tire.
That was a split.
And I did the splits.
I was not ready for it.
So bad. Oh, I was not ready for that. I've talked about this in a previous video of practicing the splits. I think that is a valuable asset to have. If you could do the splits so many times, like that switchback, when being able to do the splits would be so helpful. I was at my limit of stretch right there. You can hear it. I was like, ah! It hurt a little bit. So I'm going to get up here and take a little rest. Rest break over. Got to get up here. It's going to start raining a little bit.
On the rain.
Not a heavy rain, but just a light little drizzle. Getting things wet. And it's later on, the rocks are going to be a little slick. There's one rock kind of towards the end that has this real slick face, and I wasn't confident going down it. I had to walk the bike down. But as soon as it starts getting wet, it really cooled off, which is nice compared to tomorrow's race. Tomorrow I got kind of overheated. It got hot, but today it was nice and cool. So I didn't mind the rain right now. It's kind of nice. Just had to make sure I was getting my screen swipes for the GoPro, because I knew the raindrops would be gonna be messing up my video here. Nice and chunky through here. If you guys ever ridden out in Jawbone, Jawbone has some ridge lines like this, as well as and Barren Ridge too. In Spangler, the north side of Spangler looks just like this right here. Nice little step up there. Just keeping my balance. I know it's not clean. I'm not getting all the way through, but I'm not tipping over, not dumping the bike. I'm fighting, but it's still going. So getting really fatigued. It's hard. I know you talk about skill versus conditioning, and there's a point where conditioning, when it's out the window, it's very hard to keep your skill up to what it is. I've been bounced all over. I'm not on the pegs. I'm too far back on the bike actually, and I think it's causing the front tire just to bounce all around. I'm not carrying enough speed to keep my center of gravity up. Almost got off. You know, I had to fight off. I don't want to go downhill. Don't want to get off the side, get in a soft spot. Just got to keep on moving forward. Still climbing. This is gradual climb up here. You can see I'm just kind of bouncing all over there. I'm standing up. I know I have to stand up with the pegs, but my legs are just so damn exhausted. It's just hard at this point. Dropping down. Gonna cut across the hills here.
Cramping up my groin.
Yeah, my groin. All the seat time, I'm having to squeeze my legs together to hold the seat, and that's making my groin cramp up. I need to do some more. What's that exercise at the gym where all the girls are on it and they're like squeezing their thighs together? You know, I need to hit that machine up. That's a hard enduro machine for when you're doing a lot of seat time, having to squeeze that bike. Got another little hill climb up here. Not a bad one. Just another one. Just carry your momentum. Bike got a lot of traction. Let it roll down. Get on the gas. I'm up on my pegs. I got my weight forward. Alright, just got a cut left. Got a little gnarly right there. So cut left. Still climbing up. Just such a bumpy climb right here. I'm just so fatigued. My hands are starting to cramp. My groin's cramped. I think I'm starting to feel it my hamstring a little bit too. So it was getting pretty rough out there. I'm gonna have to stop up here and stretch the old hands out.
Just cramping up. Not good.
Here's a little rocky climb here. Another one where not a hard climb. It is a little chunky, but I just get off my line. I dart into that rock right there. Stall the bike out.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know. But it is pretty rocky. This wasn't sandy. If it was sandy, I might have had to gone down, make another shot at it. But this rock right here just held, and the tire got rear traction. So I was able to just tractor the bike up and not have to make another pass at it. You know, if you're in a spot or hill climb where there's no traction, you have to make a shot. But it's really rocky terrain. You can, as long as you're maintaining your balance, just keep tractoring it up. Really nasty downhill. Now this is it's wet, and all these rocks are wet now. You really got to be trusting your tires to get traction through these wet rocks. And you can't make a wrong move here. It's pretty steep coming down. Don't want to be tumbling the bike down these rocks and breaking something. If you look straight ahead, there's a little orange marker with the skull and crossbones on it. It's like death. If you go that way, you're gonna die. So don't roll down there. This little downhill, it just has some gnarly rocks, really steep. It's wet. So there's some open slab sections here that it's got. You can see the film of dirt on it, and you're just like, oh man, I hope we maintain traction. Right here, this real narrow chute. Get off the bike just like she's doing ahead of me. I'm gonna walk my bike down.
I don't know if walking's necessary, but
Yeah, it is.
it's not hurting anything.
Just keep your ego in check there, buddy.
Whew.
Getting down in one piece is a
job.
lot better than getting down in broken pieces. So no harm in walking the bike down safely. I know I'm holding that guy up, but she's holding me up, and it's steep. There's a couple little step downs, and there's a hard right turn. So you got to turn right here, and then let the bike drop down. Now, if I wasn't fatigued, like you're fatigued, so I'm just thinking, man, as far as my power, my strength or whatever, could I do what I need to do? Probably not. So I'm just taking some extra caution to not drop the bike. Because you drop it off the ledge here, you're in a hurt locker. Anyways, she gets on the bike, and I get on the bike and start rolling down. Let the bike roll, little engine off action right there, using that clutch lever as a rear brake. Here's a good little step up. Just pop the front end up, hit it on that slab, give it a little gas, and kind of zap it up there. Well done. So tight. Here's that kind of rock slab area that's wet. All right, coming into another checkpoint. I think this is... Yeah, 4-stroke. That's right, buddy. This is checkpoint 3 right there. Got some cross country. We are making our way back towards the finish line. We still got a ways to go, but it's feeling good, I was like, man, I'm hitting these checkpoints. I'm getting a lot farther than I thought. And this section kind of sucked. It had a lot of this at the base of the hill. Up and down, up and down, up and down, going through a lot of washes. And then we finally get to this little climb right here. And this is when I should have went down again and one-shotted it. I thought I was creeping up there. There's a bottleneck going up on top. It is very rocky, and I should have just went back down and give it a go and got it all in one shot. But I didn't, so I'm gonna fight my way up here. Take this outside loop here, which kind of flattens out the climb a little bit, and then you got to come in. There's a rock sticking out, and I kept catching my foot peg on it, and I finally had to back up, move the back tire over, and then keep on climbing up here. Just a little bit of a battle. Come on, Trixie, let's do this. She can climb, she's a good climber. Just feather that clutch, keep that rear tire from, keep it from spinning out. You don't want that rear tire to just spin out or you lose control, loses its balance. Just keep it upright, and you want the broadest part of the tread, most traction, and she'll climb. Right here is a little lip to get over, a little steep part, and I'm gonna just hop on the side. Just do a little walk up, a little push, and right here the back tire is hanging off just in the air right now. Like, dang it. So I let it rock down, and I did it all over again, and I got the back tire up properly that time. A little bit more effort than I was hoping to do. I'm just so fatigued. My brain isn't working very well. It's just so tired. I'm mentally tired. here's that steep part where I was talking about earlier, where it's wet. I should have went low. I should have went left right there, and you just got this slick rock now in front of me. Whereas you can see if it was dry, it'd be no problem, but now it's wet. So I hop off the bike just in case it slides out. And I'll walk the bike down and drop it down. Dropped on the trail, so good job, you know. I'm glad I didn't ride it down. Maybe if I rode it down, would have been fine, but you know, sometimes it's a gamble, it's a risk, and are you willing to take that risk? Because if you lose, you know, that could have been a big fall, and I don't want to do that. This little part of the desert here reminds me of riding when I went riding in Bullhead. If you ever been out to Bullhead City, Arizona, the terrain looks just like this right here, where you got these shaly kind of soft rocks. Look at this rock sticking out. I hit it with the foot peg. It almost throws me left, and I would have just dumped it in that creek right there. You know, even a little crash, even a little dump, it's that much more energy you have to spend. Then we got to climb back up. Going back up the canyon now. Got a couple little climbs and zigs and zags, and we're going to snake our way across the face. And I'm going to turn left up here. And there's a off-camber area right here, and you don't want, just keep that bike rolling. See how it slopes down pretty good. I have my left foot on the left peg, and I'm just barely rolling it, just dabbing with my right, keeping the tire kind of. Rich Larson talks about this. You kind of weight in the outside peg, you kind of pushing the bike a little bit out, so it's getting a little bit more grip. If you lean the bike into the side of the mountain, it gets less grip. There's less tire area grip in the rocks there, and the bike will slide out from under you. So weight that outside peg and kind of lean the bike out. Feels a little unnatural, but then you're dabbing with the right to counterbalance it. And then you're just praying for the best, I think. We're really going slow through here. It's all like turtle work, just working your way. I'm exhausted just trying to not make a mistake of dumping the bike down one of these rock faces here. I know it can be painful to watch going this slow, but it's hard, folks. If you guys haven't done a hard enduro and seen this type of terrain, I mean, it is just mind-blowing. You get in here and you're like, oh my God, we got to go through this stuff. It's just crazy. Little rocky climb here, just keeping that momentum. Here I'm sitting on the bike, squeezing again, squeezing the bike between my legs. That growing, oh my God, it's screaming at me. Coming down through the rocks, got to go up and left around. There's a little gap you can shoot to the right of that, but it looks like a little bit easier coming around left. And then you got to jump down in this creek and start climbing up the other side. You gotta come in left. GoPro, it kind of skews the picture, and some of these gaps look so dang narrow in the picture. Now there's a step up there. It's a dip in the creek, and you gotta pop that front tire, pop it, and then give it some juice. So that's what I did. They're almost like a double blip right there. Just got that front tire up, and then gave it another blip of throttle. Right here, I do a poor execution of the 511 special here. And I'm getting good rock there, but I just don't give it enough, you know, throttle there. I don't have enough preload on the engine to get me up and over that, and so I pay the price. I got to do this pivot turn, which is high, and you know, that rock was in the way, so I had to almost stand the bike totally vertical, pivot around there. All these little details, they add up, you know, and this is what separates. There you go, a little 511 special. Rock back, weight back, and then throw your weight forward, drop the clutch. I mean, that you use that so often. You get better and better at it. But like when you get exhausted, it's really hard. Steering with the rear tire there. I just watched Rich's latest video, he did a training session up here in at King of the Motos, and one of his pointers, and I always think about it, is steer with the rear tire. Put your rear tire where you want to go. Don't put the front tire where you want to go. Put the rear tire where you want to go. So if you need to get up on the trail, that rear tire needs to get up on that trail. Because if you just aim for the front, that back end doesn't get. The back end carries all the weight, and you're not going to make it. So you overshoot. You aim, run it deep is what he says. Yeah, you aim deep, you go as high as you can to get that front tire up on that trail, and then it's so much easier just to pivot the front around back on. I'm all over the place, and I can barely stand up, I think, at this point. My legs are just noodles. My arms are noodles. My triceps are just crushed. Right here, my legs are hanging back. My right one's back. I don't get it high enough. And my knee hits a rock. And I wear knee braces, but it still hit pretty good and stung my kneecap. You can see it just stopped the bike when it hit that knee. Pow! I can see there's a climb coming up, so I'm already thinking about that climb. And it gets in your head. You start seeing the struggle area. You need to stay focused on what you're at right now. You know, you really don't need to be thinking too far ahead. You know, you're looking 20, 30 feet ahead. But keeping a nice smooth run. You want a good rhythm to your riding. You get out of rhythm, and it just makes the whole ride harder. And because I get out of rhythm, I don't carry any momentum, and I'm coming up to this little climb here, and it's making it extra hard. If I would have carried my momentum focus on where I was at, this isn't too steep. Like, looking back, if you were fresh, had some fresh legs, fresh arms, you'd get through this pretty quick. I picked this inside line. The outside line looked a little cleaner where that guy just went up, but got to make a better line choice, making it hard for myself.
Oh, hey, how do these guys have so much energy?
Well, they're probably a lot smarter than you and picking better lines, not making all these dang mistakes. And probably drinking less beer and working out more. I don't know. I got a lot of excuses. I'm just so out of shape. I don't know how people are. I mean, it is so physically demanding, and yet they are doing so much better than me, as I'm just struggling. Yes, I know I have a 4-stroke, and she's heavy. But there's 2 other guys in 4-strokes on here, and they did really well. So it's not just a 4-stroke, it is my life choices. I need to make better life choices and get my conditioning up. I just need to be on the more bike time. That's what I need, more bike time. I have to tell my wife, I gotta ride the bike more. You just gotta watch the kids while I go ride. Come on, Georgia, stay on the trail. Really bumpy, rocky through here. It's a good little drop off to the left. Gotta keep that clutch control. You know, it gets real bumpy, gotta stay in control of the bike. I always remember that guy, that video I saw in Colorado where the guy falls off the cliff and falls down into the water. And speaking of that, I'm gonna lose control right here. The front tire starts biting into the right and it slides out on me. And of course it has to slam right into a rock.
Hey, just lay down, take a nap.
Oh, so I could take a nap right there. I was thinking I could just lay down right now and go to sleep. Some guy think I was dead. I'm like, no, I'm just taking a nap right here, right where I'm laying. At this point of the race, I start having doubts about continuing. I'm starting to think, man, I should just pull out. I've already qualified for tomorrow. I can save a bunch of energy and maybe not hurt the bike anymore. Maybe prevent an injury if I just pull out now and just go on home. Texans are playing today. I'm a huge Texans fan, and I know they lost, but I was like, all right, the game has started, and I need to get back so I can watch the game. So yeah, I was thinking right here, I could go back home right now, but this little open country, this transfer section, gives you a little breather, and gives you like a little second win, which probably my 10th win or 11th win now.
I didn't make it.
Oh, I didn't make it. This is checkpoint 4 right here, and they got the finish line right after this one. So I'm like, all right, I can't pull out now. I'm only one checkpoint from completing a full lap. And I'm like, all right, I'm pumped. I had my little second win, and we're off climbing this real sand dune right here up to the top, and then we got another nasty hill climb right here. And that's wet, so you can see it's still raining, and this is all wet, slippery rock now. Right here, I should have went to the right. There was a line high to the right over the rocks, and I would avoid. There's a big hole right in front of me in that crack right there, and I got to get the front tire over. I get that front tire up on top of the crack. And now I gotta do the move, get my weight back, throw my weight forward. I don't give it enough. And that swing arm, it's a deep hole from everyone going. I'm sure it wasn't that deep when this race first started, but it got really deep. So actually I pulled back and looked at my surroundings. There was a rock right next to me, so I threw a rock in that hole, and that got me up. So I did the same move with that rock in there, and I was able to get over it. So be mindful of your surrounding, folks. You don't just have to. You can throw a rock in and fill a hole if you need to, or you can sit and struggle and struggle and struggle. You know. So be aware of your surroundings, and if you can take, oh my God, if you can take advantage of the terrain, and use it to your advantage. Real steep climb through here. Deep breathing, come on, get some air. Once again, look around, there's a rock there, so I'm gonna move that rock out. What's it? I could barely lift my hands, I could barely lift that rock. It's a little rock, but man, it took everything I had to grab it. There's a real steep section through here. It's wet, it's loose. And I'm gonna try to do some switchbacks to climb instead of just shooting it straight up. I get the front end pivot over, climb up to the next little switchback. So the top part right up here is pretty steep, and you gotta carry some momentum, and of course I don't. I'm thinking, all right, I gotta have momentum, and I don't have momentum. It's at that teetering point where the bike's almost wheeling. I mean, you have to keep weight on the rear tire, but you gotta get forward enough that you don't wheelie over, So I'm just like, I'm lucky that I'm 6'1", I got some longer legs, and I'm able just to dab, keeping that balance. I'm like leaning forward, dabbing with the tire, keeping pressure with the clutch, and I get up, thank God. So I thought I was gonna loop it out. Up here I'm gonna pivot right, I pivot right, and I don't get over left enough. I'm still right on the bike, off balance.
God damn it.
And I fall down. So I made that pivot, and when you make a pivot, you got to throw your weight onto the upside of the bike, the uphill side of the bike. And I made the pivot, and I was still on the downhill side of the bike, and of course, that put me off balance when I went to put my foot down. Gosh, she's heavy. All right, back on here. Get up this hill. Another little steep part right here. See, I should have stayed left. I I should have carried my momentum and I would have snicked it up on that left line. Now this right line, it's just a little bit steeper. And I got a same scenario where I'm just at that teetering point, keeping the positive pressure though, feathering that clutch. Just dab, I'm trying to get that front end a little bit left so it's a little bit lower. I bump it over where I need to go and then she tractors up. Oh, catch your breath. Well done. Tell you folks, that was a steep climb. Reminds me of the one I did in Jawbone. It wasn't Chuckawalla Peak. It was the ride where I did to the base of Chuckawalla. It's really steep like that, and you're just teetering the whole time. So there's a really steep climber. That's Cole Clarkson right there. He's a 13-year-old, and he picked that high line. I come around left, and I don't know if this is any better, but he's getting no traction there. And it's just an uphill battle, and I'm like, all right, just gotta keep just a little bit of momentum, and she'll tractor up. It's pretty rocky here, and a lot of the crumbly rocks that would normally be kicking you out, they're gone. So you just gotta keep a little bit of momentum, dabbing a little bit with the feet. But my clutch finger gets fatigued, my hands are fatigued, and I had to let go of the clutch. And so I knew the hand was coming off the clutch and it was going to loop out. So when I let off the clutch, I threw the bike forward. That's what that was. You're tired, folks, and I know I have a soft clutch, but you're going to reach a fatigue point sooner or later. Almost to the top, just got a little bit more climb to go. The hill's starting to flatten out a little bit, but I still don't want to make a dumb mistake here, so I'm just getting the balance, getting the bike lined up the way I want it before I keep climbing. Whew! All right, we're getting kind of close to the end. I can feel it. I mean, I can see, if you look off left, you can see the lake bed there, and Hammertown's over there, so I'm like, oh man, I'm getting close. Just get home, baby. Come on, Trixie, let's go. Just a nice steady climb uphill. Not too steep though, just gotta stay balanced. Don't get kicked over by a rock or kicked out by a rock here. You can see how wet the rocks are. It was raining pretty good up the top of these peaks. My whole body's drenched wet. So remember how I was talking about in the beginning of the race after that first hill, being choosy on the line. I didn't want to hit my brake lever in the beginning of the race. Well, that was important because you don't want to do it in the beginning. You can do it at the end, so that's going to happen right here. Getting a little sloppy, bam, hit that brake lever. That rear brake lever just bent all in.
Got my brake lever a little bit there.
Yeah, it did. So that'll be the end of you, Mr. Brake Lever. I got a new one in the bag. Wasn't bad enough where I had to stop and swap it out though. So I just kept on rolling. You haven't seen anyone in a while. Just checking the old GPS, making sure I'm on the line. Now this trail right here, or this little rock, I don't know, what do you call it? Downhill rock area. This is called Back Door, and coming up there's a huge ledge. I mean, it's a waterfall, like a 10-foot drop, maybe 8-foot drop. And some guys you saw had sent it off the edge, and I didn't know. I haven't been over here before. I haven't ridden here before. You could go to the right, on the right-hand side down. There was a way down, or there was a high line, a high little trail that I ended up taking. And then, so I got Cole right behind me, And I'm gonna get up here, I go down a step down, and right when I go past the step down, I'll stop, and he comes in, I'm stopped, and I kind of made him fall because I didn't keep on rolling. I kind of felt bad. But that's racing. You gotta be ready. You gotta be ready for anything. You gotta, that guy in front of me, here we go. So I stopped.
My bad, I stopped right in front of you. You alright?
Oh man, I did feel bad for him. That's cool. Clarkson, he's only 13, and that is just awesome. He has done everything I've done. He's probably in better shape. He's probably a better skilled rider already. I mean, one day he's going to be a pro rider. I guarantee you, he is going to be a pro rider. Really chunky through here. I believe this is Black Door. I haven't skipped ahead in the video to make sure, but I'm just going off of my memory. Yeah, real slippery. This is it. So yeah, it's no shit slippery. It's raining. You got rain and rocks. That makes it slick. Do a little whiskey throttle there. All right, here's that big waterfall. I ain't telling the GoPro, but you get up here,
Hell, you go down.
and that's a big drop
There's
into the
is there a
sand.
side trail?
And to the right, you can go to the right. Not up here. I ended up going up here, but down there to the right, I could have went off and saved some time. And I have done steep drops like that before. But at this late stage, I know the finish is so close. I'm like, all right, I don't need to. You just don't need to mess up this close to the finish line. So you got this little goat trail up here. It's kind of sketchy, real close to the edge here. And it goes all the way up here, heads back down, and when I go down, like I said, I'm fatigued, my hands are fatigued, I take an awkward angle, and the front end slides on me a little bit and turns the tire, and I almost slide out and go over the handlebars. I'm just like, oh, I'm so close to the end, just ride it down, just let it go, let it roll. But I don't, let it roll right now. But I brake, and it's slick. You can blame that on the water then. It's slick and that front tire just slides out a little bit. Such an awkward position. Anyways, move the front tire over, get her straightened out, and ride her down. God, I gotta do everything the hard way sometimes. There's the easy way and the hard way, and I usually figure out how to do it the hard way every single time. One last little hill climb till we get to the finish here of the short track. And with that, we'll bring this video to an end. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is day one of King of the Motos. I was really proud of myself for doing one full lap today. First time racing out here, and I felt pretty good. I was completely exhausted, and I knew coming into tomorrow's race I was going to be beat already. Just from the get-go, I was just going to be destroyed. But hope you enjoyed it, and until that one comes out, get out and ride and get some. Ew!